Hello, hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Market Leader Live. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you where we go with the people who get it done. Not talking about it, but actually doing it. What it takes to be a market leader. Today on today's episode, we got my man, Ruben on. Ruben, say hello to the people.
Yeah, man, I hope everybody's having a great day. Super blessed to be here, man. I appreciate you.
Awesome, man. We're glad to have you on. But if you don't mind, Ruben, share with the people a little bit about who you are and what you do for as a company.
Yeah, so my company is the Marketing Hunters. That is the main thing that I focus on, right? The person who I am, I mean, if we want to go take it back, right? I'm originally like a Cali boy, but right now I'm in Phoenix. I had to move. Like it just took me way too long to make that decision, you know? But born and raised in California, we grew up in a mobile home park. My father wasn't really around. He's still alive. He just wasn't around. He was more into like, drinking, to be honest. That's kind of his thing, right? So he wasn't around. But the thing about me is that, and my mom, she never limited my beliefs, right? But she always kind of wanted me to be a little bit more like realistic with my goals and stuff. In third grade, I actually picked up a chess set. And within a week, they had a tournament, and I got like second place. Never have played before, so I don't know why that stuck with me. But ever since then, I've just always believed I can, I can go in the NBA. I might not be like shooting the ball all the time, but I could be in the NBA. I would just have to find my thing, right? Like, so I've always had that belief that no matter what you want to do, you can get it done. You just have to find a way, right? And with marketing, that's kind of been the way that I've approached it. I've been doing sales and marketing for about 10 years now. Really learning it, dedicating myself to it. And then after a while, I just decided, well, you know what, like, why don't I just decide to do this on my own? Like, if I really do think that I'm this good at it, why am I not doing it for myself?
I love that. I love that. Why aren't you doing it for yourself? For those who are listening today, you know that you have gifts, you know that you have talents. And the other part that stood out to me, Ruben, about your story is it doesn't matter where you come from, man. It doesn't matter where you come from. But the thing is that Ruben, you don't let him be just too cool. I know he got a piece of humble pie, but he's a go-getter. And so he didn't come out the mobile home or the mobile park or whatnot, mobile home park or whatnot by just sitting up there drinking beer. He was still been there or whatnot. But the man chose to take some tangible steps to get there and go to the next level and allow for that to fuel him. Now, some could have utilized that and said, well, do you know where I come from, Darren? Hey, man, this is just my lot in life. And I think we're seeing so much of that, Ruben, no matter what your ethnic background, no matter where you are on the socioeconomic ladder, so many people, it's easy to cop out of me doing what I'm supposed to do. Similar situation with my biological father as well with some things or whatnot. But at the same time, it's not his fault if I don't do anything.
Correct.
That has nothing to do with me. I'm in control of my own fate and my own life. So if you don't mind, Ruben, give our people some tangible steps, man, of some things, because your mom helped you with that belief system. But give us some of the things that you knew besides chess or strategy. What are some things that you actually implemented? Was it getting around the right peers? Was it reading? Was it podcast? Masterminds? What are some of the things that you did to get out and utilize those strategies and those chess moves that you were using?
Yeah. So the first thing that I can remember is I went to culinary school, right? And you gotta really experiment. And when you know it's not right for you, you gotta walk away. Like there's a lot of people who are like doctors and they hate it, right? And it's like they're making good money, but they hate their life. So it's like if it's not for you, don't be afraid just because you put like all this time investment, like money into it, like that you can't just say I'm out and I want to do my own thing. I gotta like find the right thing for me, So I did that. And then after that, I got into technical support, which then led me into sales. And that part of my life, I can say you have to dedicate yourself to something. And you can't like just be like, oh man, you know what? Like I want to go and be a mechanic and you've never done it. It's like, come on, like you got to be realistic too. So you got to put your head down, do the work, stop complaining about it, apply yourself. And then once you have the experience, then you take it into a real world setting because people are going to expect you to deliver. And if you're like, I'm a mechanic and you kept messing up their car, like nobody's going to want to come to you, So it's like, you really have to like try, risk and error, and just cool. Like I messed up. I owe money for my federal loan. I'm going to pay it back, but I can't sit back every day and be like, oh man, I wish I was still cooking. Like maybe I should do this, because I know I hated it. I hated the kitchen. I hated the hours. You know, it wasn't for me. I love the food. You know, I love food. I think everybody does. It's not a reason to become a chef. So.
Man, that's amazing. And you know what? When I hear the chef story and the culinary story, it reminds me of my good friend Matt Monero or whatnot. You know, Matt went to culinary school as well. Yeah. And so it goes back to, I'm looking at people with the success that you've been able to have, and I'm looking at the way that Matt has been able to touch so many lives as well. But just think, if you or Matt both, just some people who are geniuses in what you do, if you would have been stuck in somebody's kitchen right now, I mean, messing up, dropping stuff, breaking plates. I mean, it's, the seasoning ain't right, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you chose to move there. So for those who are listening to this, where are some areas that you know that you need to improve in? Why are you still in the same spot that you were in 5, 10 years, 6 months, 8 months? I think if at the time of this recording, during the COVID-19 situation, I think that all of us should self-assess or reevaluate ourselves and do what Ruben did. And hey, let me do a self-check. Is this where I really need to be? Just because I like food doesn't mean that I'm supposed to be a chef. Just because someone told you were supposed to be a preacher, don't mean you're supposed to be a preacher because you went to church. Whatever the situation may be, or you was good in 8th and 9th grade at sports, but you're still 5'8", and there's no way that you're going to the NBA. You might want to look at being an agent or something and still do something that you're passionate about and that you love. But for those who are market leaders on here, and those who are entrepreneurs, and they're looking at growing their business and they want to make sure that they have a global impact, please share with them the marketing piece, man, because I think that's something that most people miss out on, not understanding that you shouldn't have to just grind to be able to get potential. You should make it where the marketing is working for you. Because if I Google, or if someone Googles you and they can't find you, you can have the best service. You can have morals, and the guy who's basically beating everybody and getting over on them because he's marketing, is closing more deals and got in more liquid, so he's able to stay in business longer. So can you address some of the things or some of the mistakes that some business owners make by not marketing?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually released a video today, and it's been my ongoing message. I think that this is eventually going to be the thing that I talk to people about is sales brings in money, but brand is actually what brings you legacy. So you can go ahead and sell every month, and you can have a sales staff, right? But if you bring in $1 million this month and next month you can't bring in the same without that staff, you're always going to be chasing $1. So that is the problem that most people face, is that they always say sales, and they never develop their brand and get the profits and put it back into the company. See, people, they don't buy your product. They never buy the product. They're always buying the experience, and they're buying the person. So if I have my company, the Marketing Hunters, right? And let's say that I can't leave the Marketing Hunters, and let's say I'm just somebody takes my company and I'm like, oh, I'm lost without it. That was my everything. But if somebody takes my company and I go, all right, I'll start Marketing Hunters 2.0, and everybody follows me, that's great branding right there. And if I say, oh, I don't want to do marketing anymore, I want to make wrenches, and people are like, yeah, let's follow Ruben into wrenches. Oh, let's follow him into, that's good branding. That's where you're no longer chasing the dollar and the dollar's chasing you. And that's the problem that most people are going to face, is that when you're not marketing, you have to always think of it as a long-term goal. Yes, there's ROI and return on investments, but there's certain things that aren't going to get you an immediate ROI, but they're going to make it so that a year from now, or even 40 years from now, when you're no longer around, people still know your name.
Oh yeah. Ruben is on fire right now. I told y'all, all we got to do is get him started. I'm telling you, what he's sharing to you, if you can get this is priceless. It took me some time to understand this, but I'm telling you, I share this. I was sharing this with my wife, Ruben. She was talking about some stuff one time, and she said, "Well, you give this certain stuff away and all this. Why do you do this thing?" I said, "The reason why is that I know they're not going to put in the work. Mm-hmm. You can have the same. I can show you everything that I do, but you're gonna quit.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the dexterity, you don't have the tough skin to be able to withstand it. You're not able to make the tough call. You won't make payroll. You won't invest in yourself. You're gonna find every way to give up. You're trying to be an employer, but you got an employee mindset. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your mind is not right, if I'm trying to play soccer, if I'm playing soccer, but I'm trying to have tennis rules, I'm out there with a racket. It's not the same thing. It's apples to oranges, so to speak. Yeah. It's not. I can play a soccer player or a football player can be great at what they do right here. But let's look at one of the greatest in basketball, Michael Jordan. Just because he was great with the Bulls didn't mean that translated or transferred over to his skill set for the White Sox or whatnot in a minor league. So all of us have to glean this now. Going back to what I shared with my wife and to tie this back into what Ruben is sharing with us, that's the difference with us, with what we do with publishing at the same time. Mm-hmm. We don't have to beat people up or chase them down or call them a million times because of brand awareness, and it was intentional. Because relationships is the difference. Like one wise man shared with me, Darren, what's the difference between contacts and contracts? The letter R for relationships. And once you get that, and you don't have it where you got to chase people down, that's what Ruben is saying. If you go somewhere else, the people are buying into the brand of you and what you stand for. And so for those who listen to this, that's what Ruben's talking about. But if you get in your mind and you do a deal with, let's just say, for instance, if you do a deal with Ruben's company, but you're scared to death because, you know what, I did something with Ruben and I didn't get my ROI back the same day. Dude, you're thinking wrong. That's the difference between ads and branding. Like Ruben is sharing, you put that information out there. Guess what? A blog or something that we might have did a year or two ago. Yeah. Now somebody new find it and says, because they Googled us or it's in the SEO, hey, I want to follow you. I went back and looked at your blog that you did. I'm like, how did you find us? Mm-hmm. It's something we might have did 2.5 years ago. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And so, Ruben, I mean, I'm glad that you're sharing it, man. What are some things that you suggest for people to do to move forward? Like if because, you know, I think some people don't know the difference. So they might look that I'm just a funnel away, or they might hear someone talking about just do some YouTube or Google ads or Facebook ads, but they've been burnt somewhat, or they. Yeah. So let's talk about this. I guess let's go into the psychology of what would be a method for someone who's been burnt or not sure how to go about it and don't want to lose any of their funds, how they should have the right psychology, because it could be that they're not losing funds, they're just investing funds. Yeah. So let's talk about the psychology that one must have to go into branding.
Yeah. So if you're going to hire a basketball coach, I would say you got to know the fundamentals of basketball. You just don't go in and go like, teach me everything about basketball, or else the guy's going to be like, you know what, you kick the ball into the hoop, and you're going to be like, all right, cool, right? You look like an idiot. So it's the same thing with marketing and stuff. If you've been burnt, you go and you learn the fundamentals. If you don't want to keep getting burnt, like how does a Google ad actually get made? How does the ad look after they made it for you? Like what actually converts, what doesn't, what do people say? Usually you hire a company because you don't want to do that piece. But that's the risk, is if you don't want to do that piece, you're going to have to risk getting burned. If you don't want to get burned, you got to learn the fundamentals and then go into it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like me with my culinary degree. You jump and then you see if it works, and then you track your measurements, and then you see like, did it do anything for me, right? Like with me, I always just think like, okay, if I was the market leader today, that is the person that's branding, right? Like if people think branding, they're going to think of me. What would I be doing? Oh, well, I would have to be on every platform. I would, that's the thing, is that I would have to learn every platform, and a platform that I choose not to have, I would have to explain why I'm not doing that one. So that's first. The second thing is like, okay, well, what would that person be doing? Would they be getting published? Would they have interviews being done from them? Like all those things, would they be on Forbes? Like that's my biggest goal right there, is to be on Forbes, right? That's what a market leader would do. And if they weren't on there, people would be like, he's not the leader that he says he is. So you have to really think, what is your main objective when you're going into something? People say, I want leads. Cool. Everybody wants leads, right? You could go on your Facebook right now. Somebody comments on your thing and they're like, okay, hey man, thank you for commenting on my thing. Do you want to publish a book within the next year? No, not a lead. Yes, lead. It's not that difficult. So what is your objective? Do you want to get your name known? Do you want to be known locally? Is that what Google Ads is for? Absolutely. Do you want to expand your presence and have a video that's going to last 5 years, even though you put it out today? YouTube, just know what your objective is and then attack it that way. And you'll like see that you have a pretty good ROI. It's just, what are you trying to accomplish? Like be very, very clear with your goals on marketing and advertising.
Well, I like to approach it with this, Ruben. It's just like, I've shared this advice for those who are listening before. But if you're looking at getting married, depending on what you're into, you might not need to be at the local strip club all the time. You see what I'm saying? I mean, because the sooner somebody else have more warrants than you or whatnot, then you probably lost out. So it's the same thing when it comes to when you're looking at what you're looking at for your business. I think people are looking for something like an oasis in the desert they're having the wrong mindset. It goes back to the mindset again. So you could have an opportunity. And I know we want to educate and entertain a little bit here, but at the same time, just really being truthful about it. You're going about it the wrong way. That's what Ruben is sharing. But if you have the right psyche, then you can appreciate the service, but you're thinking that somebody is beating you. And I've seen this with entrepreneurs out there, man. When they're dealing with marketers or dealing with marketing, oh man, I gave that guy some money, or I had these ads and nothing panned out. But like he just brought up, if you're looking at content that's going to last for several years, the next 5 years or so, then of course you want to have content that's on YouTube that's constantly going while you sleep or whatnot. It's working for you. If someone just type in certain type of information with a subject matter that you have or a hashtag that you have, it's being archived and being pulled up. If you want a little something like, I might be doing something on my IG. I want the IG page to grow a little bit more. Then it would be certain things that I would do specifically for IG to touch that particular audience, because the IG audience is different than our business Facebook page audience. And then I do some things on our personal page as well. And then if it's somebody who needs something with blogs, I might do something on Medium or LinkedIn and things like that. Why? Because it's a different type of audience that I'm looking for. But if I'm using Ruben's service, and like you said, if I haven't did my fiduciary responsibility of just making sure that I know the basics, then it doesn't matter what kind of hardwood floors or the chandeliers that HGTV Property Brothers put into the home. If this foundation is cracked, it's all for naught. And that's what Ruben is sharing with us right now. You have to have the right mindset, because you can have a sour taste in your mouth, taste of mirror, but it was really all because of your perception. And Ruben, I know that you're doing quite a bit out there right now, man. And and before I go on to the next subject, I want to bring up what Ruben shared as well, because I think this was definitely a gem of the importance of knowing what are you doing? What are you, put it this way, the mindset of a market leader. If I think, who do I believe is a market leader? Yeah. And what are they doing? So if I see this person on this platform, they're on Forbes, they're on this, they got a presence here, they got a presence there, and I don't even have an email address, or I don't even have a website, but I'm saying that I want to be a market leader, it's a disconnect. It's a gulf on that. So I think that can simplify the process for those who are looking. Go find 2 or 3 people that you think are killing it in whatever respective industry that they're in. And then, to go ahead and do a competitive analysis and look at what are some of the things that these individuals are doing, instead of just consuming the content. Actually do a deep dive in what they're doing that's allowing for them to be so effective. And you can pick up on some things for free for yourself. And so you'll know how to go ahead and do it for yourself. And Ruben, could you share with our audience, how can they connect with you, man? Or what services do your company provide?
Yeah. So services, we do marketing and advertising, but what we specialize in is branding, as you can kind of tell already. We take the idea, or at least the person that you want to be perceived as. I listen to you, and then what I do is I create that within the next few months. And like within a few months, you'll be able to see that people talk to you different. They react to you different. They follow you instead of you having to follow them. And it's just because that's the true power of a brand, right? And I think that I have a very, very talented gift of being able to see the vision that someone gives me and then elevating even it above to what they even think of themselves. So, but if they want to contact me, my company website is themarketinghunters.com. And if they want to learn a little bit more about me, I'm really excited about this because I just got this for like pennies on the dollar. RubenAlvarez.com.
Also, I'm just making sure we get it up on all our platforms. The
Yeah.
marketinghunter.com.
Hunters with an S.
Oh, Hunters. Okay, let me go ahead and change that up, man. I want to make sure we have the right thing. The
Yeah.
Marketing Hunters.
And one thing, if we have a quick second that I would
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
people.
Take your time, man. Go ahead, bro.
You know, we mentioned like looking at other market leaders, but at the same time, I think that it's important for people to get inside their own head. And what does you as the market leader look like as well? Right? Like, because you have ideas too. Like when you say like, what does being rich look like? What does being wealthy? You say, I drive this car and I live in this type of house. So when you say, what kind of market leader can I be? You say, well, I look this way and I dress this way and I talk this way and people recognize me because I've done this. So when you get really that perception of what you want to be, that's where a brand and that's where everything like starts coming together, because you know exactly kind of what it would look like to where you can actually start achieving it. We talk about that like with sales and with everything, like you have to kind of envision the sale closing before you actually get it. It's the same thing with being like a market leader. You have to see what you would look like if you were the person and then go based on those things.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you're sharing there, Ruben, because it's very important to get that. Like you said, because you don't want to just be a copycat to the most. There's nothing wrong with copying genius, but at the same time, you want to have your own flavor, your own vibe that you have as well. So if I'm even doing, when we used to go and speak in public, but I know I would do events whether I was in New York or San Diego, or wherever I was at. I go in, the first thing I holler was, "Hey, it's Darren L. Palmer, Chief Book Officer with Self Publishing 30 Days," with a Southern drawl like Tim McGraw. And the whole crowd just bust out laughing because, I already know I have a Southern drawl, but it's not a problem. But it separates me. That's something unique about the things that I'm able to do. In the interview that we just did with Mark Victor Hansen, it was the same thing. It's like, hey, man, you got a vibe. He was talking about like, I talked to Les Brown. His voice was unique. He utilized it. Continue to do what you're doing. And I think there's so many people, what you brought up, Ruben, that they won't be truthful to who they are. Yeah. They're authentic with it. And people can tell that. They can sense that you're trying to be Darren Hardy instead of Darren M. Palmer. And so if you true to be you, continue to be professional, continue to hone your skills or whatnot and perfect what you do. But at the same time, you have to be authentically you. And I think that's something that's very important or whatnot as far as how you conduct business. Do you agree with that, Ruben?
Absolutely. No, you're hitting it spot on. Like, absolutely. And I love that you actually added to what I said too, so that way we kind of completed the whole thought.
Yeah, man. That's what we do, man. We work together, brother. We work together. So we got the information, the marketinghunters.com. Definitely reach out to Ruben, reach out to his company. Matter of fact, Ruben, if you don't mind as well, is there any IG social media handles that you could share with our audience as well, in case someone want to follow you on there?
Yeah, so mine is I am Ruben Alvarez. So at I am Ruben Alvarez.
Okay, all right. We'll make sure that we have that information in the show notes. But man, Ruben, we want to thank you, man, for coming on. But I can't let you go without this, because some people want to be market leaders. And you gave us the tangible steps, the whole nine. But you understand more than anybody about your network is your net worth, and talking about manifesting, envisioning what you want to happen the whole time or whatnot, bringing it into fruition. But also, I know that you are a person that can identify with the old adage of that your network is your net worth. So share with us about the investing component of how it's important to be around the right people. Because I know you've been into certain rooms, and every room they didn't allow for you to go in there for free, my friend. So share about the importance of investing and how that's been beneficial for you and your life and your business.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's honestly, like, no matter what you do, you need people. And that's why it was kind of hard to like really put that idea out there, right? Like at the most core foundation of everything, you need people. So you think like, okay, well, if I meet 100 people, all 100 people are not going to have the same ability to help you, right? Some people have different connections that can help you. And then so when you start thinking like, okay, I'm one connection away, you never truly understand it until you find that one connection, right? For me, I've had great mentors. I've had people that I've met, like I met GC and like a lot of the other big people. I've done work for his wife and like a lot of other things. But the person that has helped me the most has actually been a guy that all he does is just support me, comment on my stuff, uplift me, introduce me to other people. And that's the piece that I was missing. And most people think, oh, I'm one connection away. And if I could find that connection, they're going to make me a millionaire. And you're thinking that it's like, okay, they're going to get me good work. They're going to find me another job. You never know what your connection is, right? So my advice would be keep risking until you find it. Because if you're thinking like, okay, I mean, especially with books, right? We've heard it with books. I'm going to spend $10 on this book and you're looking for $10 back. You're always going to be upset because you don't want $10 from a book, right? You want the $1 million from the book. So when you say like, I'm going to spend either $500 to go to this conference or I'm going to spend $1,000 and they have a networking event and you're in your head, oh, a networking event, right? You should, that networking event could be worth $2,000 because it can make you 100,000 and you never know it. But it's just when you keep thinking small, you're going to stay small. So networking is everything. You're one person away at that foundation of everything. It's always going to be people every single time. Right now, you should be dedicating to try to see how you can meet as many people as you can. And that's actually what's going to help you the most in the long run.
And people do business with people who they know, like, and trust. So the more you connect with people and you're favorable, you are able to build. Just like right now, because of our networks, we're able to connect with one another because we know some people that we run in the same circle with. So, so this interview is happening because of what he just shared. And then just so happened, there's some other things that's going on. There's some things that me and Ruben going to work on together as well. But it wouldn't have never happened. This interview wouldn't have happened if we both wasn't open to connecting with people. Yeah. And so you got a business page, but then you got it private. And so it's just things like that, like Ruben is sharing, man, you got to get the basics. But if you don't get around the right people who can help you grow, give you insight, and you don't have to be a jack of all trade and master of none and realize like, okay, hey, Ruben is the expert at that area. Like you said, but I know enough to know what my goals are. And then I can have an intelligent conversation with Ruben and say, hey, bro, this is your area. This is your lane right here. But I want this. This is a part of some of the things that I got as a goal, as my man Patrick B. David talks about, my next 15 moves. So I know that you can execute on that because I don't need to be doing that, but I know you and your team can handle that. So that separates you and whatnot and allows for you to be recession proof because you don't have to chase everybody else down. You got referrals coming in. People are seeking out your service. You are the expert in your area. And before I get a last word to my man, Ruben, I go back to the store. When you hear Ruben talking about brand, and let me show you the importance of brand. I had a young lady who wanted our services. It was a guy that provided similar services as ours, as far as he was least in a particular industry that we were in. He was telling her everything that he could do, everything the company could do. They were even in the same city. The investment to work with us was, somewhat of more of a premium solution compared to what his was. But at the end of the day, the lady went with us, after he had, this is not, just a, professional for some of you, but I'm going to give you just layman terms. After he got through player hating on me for so long, the woman still went with our company. Why? It's everything that Ruben just shared with you today on Market Leader Live. Because we are the experts at this niche, at this industry, the blogs. See, but he's a jack of all trades. 1 minute he's trying to teach you how to be a keynote speaker. The next minute he might be trying to tell you how to sell tires. The next minute he's trying to see. When people are ready to invest real funds, they want somebody to know what they're talking about in that area. Because if they're confused by looking at your social media page on all what you do, they don't know. But they look like, wait a minute, this guy does this. Don't mean that I don't do other stuff or our company don't, but they know if we're talking about books and we're talking about self-publishing, this is what Darren does. It's not just a boot camp to make a couple other dollars. It's just not something real quick. Let me sing you a course real quick. Even though we have stuff like that, I'm a one-stop shop for all your publishing needs. That's what our company is. And so with Ruben, because I wouldn't bring Ruben on if I didn't believe in what he's talking about. So that's why I took time just to give you a personal story of why this guy was like pissed and he couldn't believe it. And then he started, well, can Darren get you in Barnes & Noble? And it didn't even matter because he doesn't understand what it is to be a market leader. And that's what a company like the Marketing Hunters can do for you. So y'all definitely reach out to my man, Ruben Alvarez, man. He's definitely legit. He's solid. He's a person who practices what he preaches. And any way we can assist you, Ruben, man, we're here for you, man. Do you have any last words for the people before we close it out? Because I want to be respectful of your time, sir.
No, you know what? Like, I think I said my thing, and if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me. I just wanted to say thank you to you. It's always good to connect with like real human beings, people that have actual good foundation of like what they want to do and like help people. And I can tell that that's really the base of your company. So I just want to say thank you.
No doubt, Ruben, man. But me and Ruben, we got some things to take care of, y'all. So we about that life. So we're gonna move on to the next stage and whatnot and get to work. I hope you take advantage of the opportunity now. When you get to the time where you can't connect with Ruben because you got all the middle people in the round, you can't get a hold of him. But he's definitely giving you an opportunity to reach out to his team and to be able to see how they can assist you and your company going to higher heights and new levels. Until next time, if you won't change, be the change. Be blessed and be great.